Hello and welcome to the United Man. My name is Shane. This is the latest on Manchester United transfer news. Now, we will be discussing, obviously, the Amad Diallo deal that has been done, but we'll be putting a fact or fiction twist to this latest transfer news.
The mic, make your show productive tight.
So, the deals that are done and pending, I suppose, is the Amad Diallo deal and Caicedo deal as well. Now, the Amad Diallo deal, I suppose it's been well documented. Obviously, 37 million, 18-year-old winger, obviously arriving from Atalanta. He basically, obviously, I'm sure it's well documented. You're all fully aware at the moment, but he is at the moment just in Rome getting his work permit sorted. Obviously, things got to be made a little bit easier because he was made an Italian citizen not too long before now. So in terms of when he arrives at Manchester United, that is just the case. It's not if, it's just when. So we're getting all the formalities done before he comes into Manchester United, and a welcome addition to an already frightening forward line. Now, I'm not sure he'll go straight in to the first team. Sort of like Pellistri, he'll be in and around the under-23s, getting to know the club. You know, settling in period would be a lot more, in terms of transition, be a lot more easy and sort of, I suppose, a seamless transition. And I like that for the younger players as well. We're not in great need for attacking flair players now, which he is, with burning speed as well, which is always handy and always frightening. So yeah, we can afford to bed him in easily and let him take his time, basically. Now, Caicedo, the young Ecuadorian central midfielder, I feel that one's a case of, again, when and not so much as if. Now, it's just a case of, again, work permits, obviously. I think the final details were sorted just before we officially came out of Brexit. But it's just a wait and see at the moment with all the formalities. There's a lot of things that go in behind the scenes that we're not aware of and we don't see. So I believe it's another deal done. This one isn't anywhere near the 37 million. Bearing in mind there'll be add-ons with that in terms of the Amad Diallo deal. But the Caicedo deal, I believe that's a lot less. There's not been an official documented price for him, but led to believe it's in the region of sort of just under 12 million pounds. So just watch this space in terms of the Caicedo deal. Pretty much everything was done in terms of contracts, agreements in terms of fee, just all the formalities in terms of him now joining a European team. So with all this Brexit stuff going on, things are taking a little bit of time with the players that are sort of born outside of the EU. But that will be done very soon. Onwards to the fact or fiction around all the transfer speculation. First up, we have Dayot Upamecano from RB Leipzig. Well documented about this centre-back and Manchester United's interest with him. However, as I said, I'll state the case, then put fact or fiction next to this. With Upamecano, fortunately, RB Leipzig are seen to be somewhat of a selling team, bringing through youngsters. Now, it's not to say that they're in desperate need for the cash. However, he does have a release clause attached. That being in the way of around 42 million. It was 54 million, but obviously starting from the new year 2021, it has now been reduced to around the low 40s. So a very, very, very reasonable price tag there. Not to mention, we have a massive need for a centre-back to be paired up with, it would seem, Harry Maguire, regardless of his performance levels. But the only sticking point at the moment is that we've got players that can play there and haven't really been given the opportunity. Eric Bayer's only really getting an extended run because of Victor Lindelof's injury situation. So it's a bit of a difficult one. The need is there, yes. Is the player interested? Yes. Would we be able to fee the fee? Yes. Is the demand there from Manchester United to go and sign a potentially world-class centre-back? Absolutely. Now, I don't think these are deals that we can sort of turn our nose up at, but it's just a strange one, like the Bruno Fernandes deal, whereby no one else is really going in for him. And like I've said before, the only reason this will really happen is if that player is only interested in the one club, where he's contacted the player's agent and the player's agent is saying, look, you know, thanks a lot for the interest, but we're only interested in this team and we're waiting to get a deal done with this team. So as for this deal being fact or fiction, I'm going to put it down as a fact. I believe this deal is a deal we can get done, and we'll potentially look at making a deal, not necessarily in this January transfer window, but certainly, if not now, then in the summer. Erling Braut Haaland. We missed out on this guy because of why? At the time, we was desperate for a frontman, number 9, who can bag goals. Ollie was, you know, had a previous relationship with him. He was very interested in joining Manchester United. Obviously, his dad wasn't. His dad was a City player. But ultimately, the choice and decision was Erling Haaland's. He, like I say, he was available for a very reasonable price, that being £18 million. Now, you know, with all the money that Man United bands about has spent on other players, a lot less in terms of talent and ability than Haaland, 18 million is an absolute drop in the ocean for a club like Manchester United. So it's a bit of a mystery as to why we didn't get this one done initially. Having said that, we are absolutely stacked in the attacking department. We have Pellistri, Diallo, Greenwood, James, Cavani, Rashford, Martial, and impending arrival of Caicedo as well. 3 of those deals being recent as today, in fact, in Diallo, but obviously Pellistri joining recently. Edison Cavani being obviously joining the club on a free recently as well. So that, you know, would say to me, well, we've got so many players in these positions, operating these positions, both present and for the future, and being effective now. In Edinson Cavani and all the rest are pretty much youth players. So with that, it'd be a struggle and a stretch to see why or how he'd actually fit in. That being said, stranger things have happened. We now know Manchester United are looking to operate under a different transfer ethos. We know that because of the recent deals that they've done, and also how much they've been spending or not spending, as the case may be, with regards to Jadon Sancho and the £108 million deal that Dortmund wanted to get done. Erling Haaland has taken Europe by storm when he was in his, well, original club in Austria playing, and, you know, dropped 8 goals in the Champions League. He is now with Borussia Dortmund, smashing it. So I think it's fair to say that Borussia Dortmund would be wanting a little bit more than 108 million. I'd go ahead and say add another 72 million onto that 108 million price tag that was set for Jadon Sancho, making it up to a nice 180 million. You probably worked it out by now, fiction. The next one up, Declan Rice. This one's very interesting because we obviously have a massive need for him. He can play and plays. At the moment, his natural position would seem central defensive midfield. Now, as I said, there's a massive need for him and a massive scope for a quality player of his ilk in that position. However, there's an obvious, I suppose, inflation price on young English talent. And the fact that there's been numerous reports over the past 12 months suggesting he'd very much like a move to Manchester United from West Ham, the price would be fairly reasonable. As I said, there is a slightly inflated price on young English talent. He'd add to the already young, experienced core that we have within the team. I'm looking at the fact that he's an experienced or somewhat relatively experienced international. He'd complement what we've got already, and he would bring leadership to this team as well. So for those reasons, I think you worked out again, I'd say fact. Now this next one is about Mr. Jack Grealish. Continually linked with this guy, rightly so. He's a quality player, would add a lot to our squad. Operative word there being squad. The only way it's going to work is if he was to come to our club as a squad player, because Similar to the reasons said previously with regards to Erling Haaland, we have so many players that can play and do play in his position or positions of central midfield and wide left, drifting wide left. So for that reason, it'd be very hard to see. We've got Bruno Fernandes, Pogba, Van der Beek, Rashford, Martial, Daniel James, Pellistri, Diallo. If I've missed anyone out, unfortunate, but we've got that many players in and around his positions. It'd be hard to see why he'd be involved in a massive transfer dealing. And that takes me on to my next point, massive transfer dealings. The fact that he was going to cost us around between 80 and 85 million pounds this past summer, and we didn't go in for him, or we didn't put that amount of money down on the table for him, would suggest that Villa was a relegation team then, finishing 17th last season. If we're going off what Villa are doing today, being a mid-table team vying for Europe this season, we'd be hard pushed to say we'd be paying less than 85 million. If anything, you'd add another 20 million on top of that. So you're then looking at paying over 100 million pounds for Jack Grealish, which is what we didn't want to do for Jadon Sancho. So thereby definition, I would say, unfortunately, this transfer rumour would be fiction. Mentioned his name a few times in previous deals, that being of Jadon Sancho. Now, contrary to popular belief, I believe if Manchester United could go out and sign Jadon Sancho today for a reduced fee of around the 85 million pound mark, I believe they'd do a deal. Now, we all know that his performances have not been of the sparkling best of his past 2.5 seasons at Borussia Dortmund. He scored his first goal, in fact, for Borussia Dortmund yesterday, I believe it was. So for those reasons, hopefully his price tag would be down. I do not believe that the interest has completely subsided from Manchester United or Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Indeed, Manchester United, as Manchester United fans, we all know we do not have a natural wide midfielder, someone who will just go past people for fun. We don't have that in the squad. Amad Diallo may bring a bit of that to the squad. Pellistri may bring a bit of that to the squad. But at the moment, we don't have a ready-made player who is in that wide position who will be doing that on a week-in, week-out basis. That being said, we signed another player in that position. Again, he's not straight for the first team. I don't believe the starting 11, as it were, in Amad Diallo, but that may prove to change very soon. We've already got players in his position. We've got a strike force to be reckoned with. So for those reasons, I'd have to call fiction on this one, because I don't believe Borussia Dortmund would, in fact, lower their price after this just 6 months. Thank you very much for joining me on this latest transfer news special. If you're already a member of the channel, thank you very much for returning. If not, subscribe, like, share, get involved in the comments, and I'll see you next one. Take care.